Hi everyone, it's time for Sunday School. This is for Sunday, October the 30th, 2022. I'm here in the church today again. Just finished up Spirit Saturday with a couple of our kiddos. We were talking about Jonah and the whale today. I'm sorry the rest of you weren't able to come, but those of us that were here had a really nice time together. We're going to do another one of those sometime in December to get ready for Christmas, so watch for that. I hope you'll come. We'll do some Christmas crafts and talk about the story of Jesus. Well, today I want to talk about a man named Zacchaeus. And Zacchaeus was a tax collector. And we've talked about tax collectors in the past. And in the days of Jesus, tax collectors were not very nice people. Like, they were people that were not well respected. They basically robbed people. They would come around and make people pay more money than they actually owed. And so the tax collector would then pocket the remaining money. So they were kind of bad people. They were deceitful and they were greedy. And there wasn't a whole lot that people could do about it. And Zacchaeus was one of those guys. And he wasn't a good guy. And as a result, the Jewish people were not a big fan of Zacchaeus, as you would expect. But somehow he had heard about Jesus, and he must have been curious to learn more about the miracle worker. So I'm going to read to you from Luke 19, verses 1 and 2. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. So not only was he a cheating tax collector, but he was also one of the main guys, one of the bosses, and had really gotten to accumulate a lot of money from his dealings. You know, there are people sometimes that we deal with in our lives that people don't trust very much. You should always trust the police, but there are some people that don't trust the police. I think that some people don't trust attorneys, lawyers, and I know some people don't trust politicians, and that's especially, we're especially aware of that right now because of election season. Well, anyway, Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus, but he was a really short man. And I'm sure that you guys, because you're little guys, sometimes might have trouble if you're short. You might not be able to reach something on a shelf, or might not be able to see through a crowd, and well, maybe you've had to improvise, asking mom or dad to help you or standing up on a stool. Well, Zacchaeus improvised. That's exactly what he did. So Luke 19, verses 3 through 6 tell us what he did. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached that spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. So I want you to think about the amazing things that are happening here. Zacchaeus, this really short guy, has climbed up a tree to see this Jewish man that he'd heard all about, this Jewish teacher, Jesus. He probably thought while he was up in that tree, nobody knew he was there and he was anonymous. But Jesus knew better. Jesus went right to the tree and he looked up and he called out to Zacchaeus and he called him by name. And not only that, but he really invited himself over for dinner. That's exactly what he did. So I want you to think about how you might have felt if you were in that position. What do you think was going through Zacchaeus' head? Well, I think he might have been really confused by the fact that Jesus knew his name. Or maybe he was excited because Jesus had invited himself over to his house. And the verse tells us that he came down quickly and received Jesus joyfully. So I expect he was excited. Now remember, Zacchaeus was kind of a bad guy in the eyes of the Jews. And so they were not very pleased that Jesus would associate with a person like this. And of course, as we've heard about in the past, the Jews complained about it. Well, fortunately, Jesus was not after public opinion boosts, but he was after individual heart healing. And in this case, it worked. Luke 19, verses 7 through 10. Let's continue the story. All the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." It's an amazing thing that Zacchaeus did. You know, Jesus was not worried about how other people viewed him, how they looked at him, or what they thought about him. He knew that his mission came from God and that it involved loving everyone, all people. And he also knew that change was possible for some, well, for everyone, and that he would give forgiveness to everyone who asked. Zacchaeus was transformed. He was changed by that encounter with Jesus. He got up and he promised that he was going to give away half of all of his possessions, and if he had done anything dishonest in dealing people, he was going to pay it back 4 times with extra. Now, I'm sure you can imagine that would be a lot of money. But he realized that he had found something far more important than money or belongings or being a tax collector who put money in his own pocket. Zacchaeus became a new man and received the mercy and, more importantly, even the love from Jesus. And Jesus emphasized that he didn't come just for good people, but for those who were truly lost and in need of teaching and saving. Well, that's good news for you and for me, because, of course, we're lost too. Not physically lost like we lost our way on the road, but we're lost because we're sinners. And this story has another important element to it. Jesus loved everyone. What does that mean for us? Well, it should mean that we should demonstrate love and forgiveness for everyone we come across. Now, some people still do wrong things and they hurt us, and maybe they even need consequences for it. But we know that love and mercy are possible for everyone. And if God thinks that, shouldn't we think that too? I know sometimes it's hard if we've been bullied or picked on by someone at school, or maybe even someone in our own family, that we want them to get punished. We want them to, we want maybe to hold a grudge against them sometimes. But the Bible is full of stories about times that God forgives, even when we're not paying attention, even when we're disobedient. Zacchaeus wasn't a good man to start with, but when he met Jesus and felt his love and his mercy, he turned his life around. There are so many stories like that in the Bible, and I think I have that kind of story as well, because God has come into my heart through the Holy Spirit, and once I got to know Jesus, well, my whole life changed, and it's an amazing thing. Well, Zacchaeus is a very interesting character, and there's a song about Zacchaeus, and I'm not going to sing it for you now, but if you come to church on Sunday, October 30th, we're going to sing it during children's time. It's about Zacchaeus being a wee little man and Jesus telling him to come out of that tree. You could look it up on YouTube if you wanted to. You can find it pretty easily. Well, boys and girls, it's always so good to talk to you. I love spending time with you, and I hope that you'll join me again the next time. Until then, I love you. I'll see you soon.